Let's go! It's a disclaimer time! Warning, this review will contain spoilers. Rather than being human garbage and putting the spoilers in the thumbnail, I'm gonna give you a few seconds to click away. If you don't care about spoilers or have beaten the game, you're good to go. But with that being said, here is an elephant-sized review of Super Mario Bros. Wonder, featuring T&D, better known as some guy who clearly doesn't like Yellow Toad.
You are now watching Demeech.
As I'm sure all of you are aware, Super Mario Bros. Wonder just released as one of the most anticipated Nintendo Switch games of the year, and probably of all time. I did a Trash or Treasure review of the game, so if you haven't checked that out, I'd recommend doing that, because in this discussion review, we will be going over spoilers. The Trash or Treasure episode is spoiler-free, but last warning, this will contain spoilers. We are going over everything about the game, we 100%ed the game, and there is a lot to say.
Yeah, there is a ton to say, and, I think we should just get right into it then.
Yeah, to be fair, we did get the game early. Sometimes sellers in other countries outside the West are a little more lax when it comes to street dates, so that was really cool, and I couldn't think of a better game to get earlier than this. But another thing, you gotta thank T&D for summoning it, because one time we were talking about a Pac-Man game which was going to be revealed, and I guessed it was going to be Pac-Man Mega Tunnel Battle, which was a Google Stadia exclusive, remember that? And because I guessed it, I tried to trick him into thinking that I was an insider, because I always joke with him about the insiders just guessing stuff, and if they get it right, bam, credible insider. And you have sent me more than enough stuff from Zippo saying, I know it's Zippo, but give this one a chance. I'm like, no. If he's an insider, then I am.
Give this one a chance. I never say to give this one a chance.
The
last time I sent you a Zippo article, we were making fun of him.
Yeah, the last time, but I remember an occasion where I think it was about Mario Wonder being Mario 3 levels of difficult. Anyways, the point I'm trying to bring up is he said, let me guess, you probably got Super Mario Bros. Wonder early, didn't you? And I'm like, haha, I wish. He summoned it. So, thank you T&D for summoning it into reality. So let's get into the discussion about Super Mario Bros. Wonder. So, I'm gonna let you start, because you're definitely more of the 2D Mario guy. So, when Super Mario Bros. Wonder was revealed, initially before seeing Wonder, there were rumors about a new 2D Mario game, and I just wanted to go on to the next 3D Mario game, because historically, 2D Mario, especially with the new Super Mario Bros. Games, has been stagnant, but Wonder really started to paint a new picture for 2D Mario, and I was very excited.
Yeah, I've always loved 3D and 2D Mario, but I've always been longing for the next evolution of what 2D Mario could be, especially since around the time when New Super Mario Bros. U released, there was Rayman Legends and Origins already, and Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. And, those games just, not only were they a little bit more on the challenging side, but also they had an identity of their own other than generic and bland. And same old, same old, same old. So, for a long time, I wondered if we would get that for a new 2D Mario game. Especially since, to me, the new Super Mario Bros. Games, they're fine for what they are, but I don't think they hold a candle to, let's say, Mario 3 or Super Mario World, or even, if you count this game as a Mario game, Yoshi's Island, right? And I was waiting for that next step in 2D Mario to, follow in those footsteps. And, when this game was first revealed, I already had a feeling that this was what I had been asking for years. 11 years, I think I waited for this. So I was super happy. Super, super happy. I'm a big fan of 2D gaming. I think people give it a bad rap. I don't think it's that 2D games are bad. I just think, there might be some art styles for 2D games that are overused, and maybe people, associate 2D games with that, such as the 8-bit NES style. But, 2D games still have a place in gaming, and I'm really glad that Mario Wonder is here to prove that to people.
Yeah, the thing is, I wanted that evolution of 2D Mario, but I didn't think we were going to get it because, for one, we got Super Mario Maker 2, which I thought was going to be the signature 2D Mario game on Switch. Yeah, it's a different experience, but in the minds of Nintendo, I thought they would consider it that. And another thing, it's just like you said, I thought it could be more New Super Mario Brothers, but that reveal, I knew we were in for a treat. But we played the game, we 100%ed it, so did it live up? That's the real question.
So, how do I put this delicately? Absolutely it did! It exceeded expectations! Okay, let me get a little bit more specific, right? I'm not gonna lie to you, I was a little worried in the beginning because it was a bit easy, the first few levels of the first world. But the more you keep going into the game, I wouldn't say that the challenge is that of, like, let's say Tropical Freeze or maybe like harder platformers, but it does get a little, tough in areas. There were points where I was looking for purple coins. I was like, where is this? And I kind of had to explore a little bit, and I really liked that. I really liked going outside my comfort zone, looking for like secret exits or like purple coins. I love doing that in 2D platformers, looking for collectibles.
To be fair, we were on the phone and you asked for some hints, but I never told you directly where they were, but I found pretty much all the purple coins and collectibles. Just, for me, they were kind of easy to find, but there was still an element of challenge, but I absolutely agree with you. When Super Mario Bros. Wonder was revealed in June, I knew we were in for something truly special, and I'm at a loss for words considering how incredible it is. Considering I initially didn't want a 2D Mario game and just wanted them to go into 3D again, this says a lot.
Yeah, I mean, again, I love both 3D and 2D Mario games. I like 2D Mario games because it's a little bit more focused and it's a little bit more precise. I like 3D Mario games because it's a little bit more exploratory and, it's fun to move around in a 3D world sandbox like that. But I had the craving for a precision platforming Mario game, obviously 2D Mario, for quite a long time, and it's surprising that they've waited 11 years to release a new mainline game in the 2D series.
Yeah, that is just crazy to think about, although the Switch era is not your typical Nintendo era where, a lot of the games are Wii U ports, and it did cause a little bit of a delay. We got Super Mario Odyssey nearly 6 years ago, and if you don't count the Super Mario Maker games, Super Mario Bros. Wonder is the latest 2D Mario game, and the latest mainline Mario game after Super Mario Odyssey, which released 6 years ago, and I don't think we've ever seen a mainline Mario game released. Well, you could say the NES with Super Mario Bros. 3, but it's not common to see a mainline Mario game released fairly late into the life of a console. Maybe that means the Switch is here to stay for, I would say, at least a year or two more.
Oh, we'll see about that. That's a discussion for another day. But, in general, Super Mario Bros. Wonder, I think it's still a bit early for me to rank it with the best 2D Mario games. In like my favorite 2D Marios, I want to say it might have exceeded Super Mario Bros. 3 for me, which is my favorite of all time. But I'm gonna replay the game and see if that still holds up. For me, I have to replay it. Yeah, I have to replay a game a few times to really get a sense of, is this game, where does this game rank? How do I feel about it, when the honeymoon phase is over? I'm sure I'm still going to love it. But anyways, let's get into the nitty-gritty.
So, unless you're referring to Super Mario Advance 4 with Mario 3 and the e-reader levels, I would say you're insane if you think that there's even a contest between this and Mario 3. Wonder is just so much better.
That's what I'm saying, Advance 4, I'm not really sure yet.
Okay, you're not insane, you're just crazy. But, in terms of Wonder, we can discuss all the levels and the worlds in the game. What was your favorite world and what was your favorite power-up? That's what I want to know.
This is a tough question. I think I'm gonna go with Fungi Mines as my favorite world, just because it had a lot of my favorite levels. Like some of the autumn levels were just gorgeous to look at, and I'm assuming since this is a spoiler discussion, I could talk about this, but the King Boo level was phenomenal. I was not expecting him to sing opera. um, yeah, Fungi Mines, and I just wanted to say, the world map design for me was really, really cool. Not the world that I'm talking about now, but I think World 4, which was Sunbaked Desert, I really loved exploring that world map and finding new levels. Like,
Oh, that was
there
so
were
much
some
fun.
levels, there were some levels hidden in mirages, and I thought that was so clever. And there was some like hidden behind like a sand waterfall. That was so cool. But in terms of my favorite power up, that's tough because I would say all three power ups get equal billing in this game. Um, I
That's a
think I'm gonna
great
have
thing
to go
about
with
it.
yeah. No, I agree. I think I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna have to go with the drill power up, just because it's very versatile and there's a lot of cool things you could do with it. Just digging underground and in the ceiling too. Uh, and yeah, so I would say drill, elephant, and then last but not least is the bubble flower.
I would say that the drill mushroom is the most useful. Like, I would say if I had to use one power up for a playthrough, it would probably be the drill mushroom. But I can't help but
Agreed.
love Elephant Mario. But it's
Me
important you
too.
brought that up because this game did something that I initially didn't even think about. But with the power ups, none of them are rare and none of them are oversaturated, which means you're gonna use all of them and not just hold on to one because it's rare. That was a problem
Yep.
with the new Super Mario Bros. Games, where in the first one you got
Hmm.
the blue shell. That was exclusive to the Toad houses and the red question blocks. So you'd always want to have a blue shell in reserve, and that would discourage using it. And you also had in New Super Mario Bros. Wii, that one was a little bit better. You could find most of the power-ups easier. But in New Super Mario Bros. U, that had the propeller suit and the penguin suit at the very end of the game. So I'm not a fan of when games do that, but it was great seeing all the power-ups highlighted. But in terms of my favorite world, oh man, that is a hard question. It's either
Yeah,
between Sunbaked Desert and Fungi Mines.
I would have to agree with you there. I was gonna say sun-baked dessert or desert.
You're
I,
thinking of Layer Cake Dessert from New Super
I
Mario Bros.
know,
U.
I know, but the only reason I say that is because I love exploring the world map in that particular world. I would say the levels though that I like the most, I think, were in Fungi Mines. But there's a lot of I have to say, just off the top of my head, all the level design in this game is excellent. I don't think there was one level. Well, there's one level, but I don't think there's one level that made me really question why things were designed the way they were. I think everything was just excellently designed.
Yeah, the levels are excellently designed, they're memorable, and yeah, I know what level you're referring to, but all the
Yeah,
levels, for the most part, are great, and for the most part, we're only talking about one level, which I actually liked. But in
of course you
regards
did.
to. Well, yeah, but in regards to just the game in general, I feel like it has amazing level design, power ups are great, and they're used perfectly. World themes are
Mhm.
also great. That was a problem. You had the very
Yeah,
standard Mario tropes in prior games, but this time around we got an Arabian desert, we got Shining Falls, which is like a Japanese inspired dojo type of thing. Even you got that with
yeah.
Master Poplin. That was really cool. I love the music there too. Fungi Mines
Hmm.
is not just underground, but it has mushrooms in the background. Kind of reminds me of the Mario movie. I think Fungi
Yeah,
Mines is my favorite in terms of levels, but Sunbaked Desert comes very close.
I
But
think World Six's world map design is really interesting too. It's kind of like you're going down this volcano, and there's like different levels to it too. I think that's really really cool.
even the lava theme's interesting. It's pretty much like hell. If you do Wonder Mushrooms, you know what happens. You go to hell before you die. But what about Wonder Flowers? Will you be okay? I gotta say, most of the Wonder effects were great. My favorite
Yeah.
is in level 2. I knew that's when it was going to be my favorite 2D Mario game. Piranha Plant Parade with the singing piranha plants. And I'm so glad I was surprised by that.
I knew that was going to be one of your favorites. As soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, I know what Demeech is going to like from this game. It actually reminded me of the Super Mario RPG Japanese commercial, and I'm sure if Reese's watching, he knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Oh, definitely.
But yeah, but that's a I'm thinking maybe that was a throwback, maybe not. I'm not sure, but
I think the
yeah, a lot
Spike
of the
Salsa was also good.
again, of course you like that one.
Do you remember
No, I
when
like that
Nintendo
one
used
too.
Spike for nearly everything? He was in Mario Party 10, he was in Mario Tennis Aces. Only thing he wasn't in is Smash Bros. And Mario Kart. I tried to get him in Smash. I voted for him, but I don't think many others did.
Yeah, I can see why. But I will say a lot of the Wonder effects are really, really cool. The only thing I will say is that some, if not a bunch of them, do repeat. And it's not bad because like they're all used in different situations. I would have liked to see a little bit more different Wonder effects, just because they're so cool, and like the original ones that they do have in there are just so creative. But really, overall, as a game, them repeating using some of the Wonder effects isn't really bad because the levels are just designed really well.
I mean, to be fair, if we only had one level with singing piranha plants, I'd be a little bit sad. But I do think they could have added some more crazy Wonder effects, just like absolutely insane stuff they were talking about in development. They were thinking of having a live-action Mario. That would be really funny. I wish they went through with that. But
I did not know about that.
the Wonder effects are really cool, and they really add memorability to the levels. But one thing I really wanted to bring up in the review, but I couldn't because it was spoiler-free. What do you think of the secondary theme? The first theme is Wonder, but the secondary is music. This is a very musically driven Mario game, and there's a huge theme of music throughout the game. I was not expecting that, but I thought it was great. I thought the music was really good too, and the rhythm levels are just so much fun.
I love it. And I had a feeling they were going to lean more into it, just because, I mean, if you listen to Mario when he ground pounds and when he jumps, they're clearly instruments trying to mimic the sound effects, from the older games. But it reminded me a lot of the Rayman Legends levels where you're, hopping to the music, the licensed music that they have. And there are actually levels like that in Mario Wonder. Like I think your favorite, the rave level, where you have to jump in tandem with the Ninjas. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah,
and I think it works really. I think it works really well because I think rhythm goes hand in hand with platformers, and I'd love to see more of that, going forward into the future.
Yeah, I would too. You pretty much got it spot on. The Ninja Dance Party is my favorite rhythm level. It's actually tied with the final boss, but the music theme is excellent. I was not expecting that, and it was a very nice surprise. And it's good that the game has a core theme. Most 2D Mario games really don't, but Wonder's identity isn't just Wonder, it's also the theme of music. Kinda like how Super Mario Odyssey had the theme of travel, galaxy space, sunshine, vacation, and that was a really cool thing. But in terms of the bosses, since I brought that up, let's talk about the bosses, because that's really the only low point of the game, other than Nabbit and Yoshi not being able to power up or take damage. I've gone on about that a lot, but characters should not be in easy mode. It should just be a badge that grants for invincibility for those who want it.
I agree. Yeah, I'm hoping, I mean, I hate to say this in today's day and age, but I do hope they make an update for that, because it is one of the game's biggest criticisms, but
yeah, I'm fine with that. It's not like they're using an update to add in Daisy. They added Daisy as a playable character to apologize for Battle League.
Let's talk about bosses, because, to be quite frank, they're not great.
they're not great, but did you despise them as much as most? Because the problem with the bosses is all of them are Bowser Jr. just using different wonder effects. And
I actually thought some... Oh, go ahead.
that stinks because this game is so creative that the fact that they resort to just Bowser Jr. using wonder effects, it's underwhelming.
Yeah, it's underwhelming, but since you kind of told me the boss fights were kind of underwhelming, I didn't really know what to expect. So,
I think if you know about it ahead of time, it doesn't hurt as much.
Yeah, but I also thought some of the concepts introduced in the, I think some of the concepts introduced in the boss fights are interesting. Like, some of the wonder effects are interesting. I just
Especially
think,
when he turns the floor into honey. Bowser decided to have Junior make honey cakes.
I just think it's way too easy to take him out. I think Mario boss fights have suffered for a long time. I mean, Odyssey even had this issue. This is actually an issue you and I could agree with Odyssey.
Oh, absolutely.
And, I think maybe this is something they need to improve on in the future, but I think I kind of want to talk about the final boss, too. How did you feel about it?
Yeah, so with the final boss, the level leading up to it was incredible. I love how it incorporated the wonder effects. I love the music and just the presentation. That was really cool. The lead up to it was. And I think most can agree on that. But the final boss itself, I feel is going to be a bit polarizing. But personally, I absolutely loved it. It's such a Nintendo thing to have a head and hands boss. And to have it as the final boss was pretty funny. I do wish that Bowser just was, like, fully connected. Even if he did the same things, like raving in the background. I thought it was really cool that Bowser wasn't having some, evil medieval dragon lava castle thing. No, he just wanted to host a concert, and that was really cool. I liked how unexpected that was. And the music to accompany the final boss is incredible. But I can see why some people would find it underwhelming.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. It reminded me a lot of the Tiki Tong boss fight at the end of Donkey Kong Country Returns. I was not expecting it, to be honest with you, just the head and the hands. I was a little disappointed that that's all that it was, and it was a little easy to defeat Bowser, I'm not going to lie to you. But, it was still cool in its own way. It was just a bit... The boss fight was a bit on the easy side, and, it was... I thought it could have been a little bit cooler, especially with, like, some of the crazy things we saw with the wonder effects before. I thought... I don't know. I thought we were going to get some crazy stuff. Like, I thought... This is kind of crazy in its own right, and, like, I shouldn't project my assumptions onto the game, but what I thought was actually going to happen was that Mario was going to turn into a castle, and there was going to be this big battle between you fighting as Mario's castle versus the Bowser castle, but that
would have been really cool. Or if Bowser turned into a woolly mammoth, that'd be cool.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of expecting. But, if you take the expectations out of it, it's a good enough final boss, I guess. A bit on the easy side again, but, not bad.
You only like it because it has techno music. I think the
theming... You said it, not me.
I think it's something you would say. You said I only like Bubble Yellow Toad because he reminds me of SpongeBob and Patrick, and you only like the spikes because they were dancing.
I'm not wrong on both of them.
I will say it's one of the best bosses in 2D Mario, but even though I love the final boss, I can see why others wouldn't, but this leads into another question. The Koopalings were considered the pinnacle of lazy bosses, but after Bowser Jr., I'm starting to think, would this game have benefited by having the Koopalings as the bosses, but under different wonder effects? Because here's the thing. If the Koopalings were the bosses, I would find that disappointing. Because we didn't see the alternative, which is just Bowser Jr. Compared to just Bowser Jr., I would say, yeah, have the Koopalings under different wonder effects. That'd be really cool. But there's one thing I wanted to get into before your take on the Koopalings. In Sunbaked Desert, there's a very Mario 2 theme going on with the Arabian Desert, and there was a lot that reminded me of that game, and I'm thinking, man, how cool would it be to have Wart be the boss of this castle? And then it's just Bowser Jr., and I was so disappointed.
Well, I wasn't really expecting that, but I can understand why you're frustrated about it too.
Yeah, I think if you guys are watching and thinking about the Bowser Jr. fights, will you guys feel the same way about Bowser Jr. as you would with Peach after the ending of Odyssey? Because that's when I started to dislike Peach. And I'm thinking, if I ever see Bowser Jr. again, I'm gonna start screaming. Not as much, though. I do like Bowser Jr. still. He didn't do anything wrong, but he's just so overused. It's insane that a game this creative that introduces so many enemies has such boring bosses.
Yeah, I do wish we had. I wish we had more creative bosses. What comes to mind is like, you know, each boss in the original Yoshi's Island was different. Stuff like that. You know, the only reason I say Yoshi's Island is because, you know, Mario Wonder reminds me a little bit of it, but it wasn't bad. You know, next time though, I would like to see some more varied bosses instead of just Bowser Jr. I mean, if it's just like a mini castle with Bowser Jr., that's fine, but you know, let's get some more interesting bosses in there, especially since we have the Wonder effects.
A huge disappointment was at the end of the airships. They have a factory theme going on, which I thought was really cool, especially considering that Bowser's Factory is a track in Mario Kart Arcade Grand Prix Deluxe. And if you were fighting robotic enemies, or robots Bowser created, that would be so cool. But those bosses are even worse. You can't even consider them that. You just jump on them, and then they're gone. What wasted potential there?
Yeah, those... I mean, I actually like those levels, but just at the end when you're just jumping on top of the button, like, that's really underwhelming as well.
Oh, the levels are great, but I don't understand. It's like they knew the game was near perfection and just thought, well, we gotta mess something up. And it had to be the bosses. I'm not all too surprised, but regardless, it is the weakest aspect of the game.
Yeah, though there's really nothing else I could really pinpoint as to what's bad about the game. Honestly, anything else would just kind of be nitpicks, in my opinion.
So after this discussion, would you like to do a video called Super Mario Brothers Wonder, It's No Masterpiece? We gotta say Mario like Mario. That way everyone can take us seriously.
No. I do... Listen, I think I told you this. I do think the game is close to a modern masterpiece. I think it's a modern classic.
I think so too.
I think it ranks up there with Mario 3 World and Yoshi's Island as one of the best 2D Mario games ever made. Does it have flaws? Yeah, but those games have flaws too, and I don't think the flaws in Wonder detract me from saying that it's a masterpiece, to be honest.
Yeah, I've noticed a lot of times people take one flaw of a game and overblow it to downplay it, like Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door. There are sections where you'll need to go back to... There's a little bit of backtracking for the General White and the Gold Bomb.
Yeah.
And people just blow that out of proportion, say the whole game is backtracking, even though that's an insane statement. And I think when it comes to analyzing a game, I think near perfection is when the pros outweigh the cons significantly.
Yeah.
And really, bosses are the only flaw with this game. It's not like something like Pokemon Scarlet and Violet where the entire game's a mess. No, one little aspect is not going to ruin the game by any stretch of the imagination.
It's weird when people hyperfixate on one little flaw and they make that the whole personality of the game.
Yeah.
Well, not the game, but just like to them how they perceive the game. Like, for example, if they don't like, let's say, if they don't like a boss fight, they'll make that the whole crux of their review. You know, look, everyone's entitled to their opinions, but the boss fights were such a nothing thing to me that it really did not detract away at least my experience with the game.
Same here, and I went in completely blind, so I experienced the underwhelming bosses without any prior knowledge. And even so, if you're expecting them, it's not going to be too bad. And even if you aren't expecting them, it's not going to be too bad because overall the game is just a masterpiece. You're absolutely right. But even though the bosses are underwhelming, what do you think of the final levels? We'll talk a little bit about the special world. I thought the special world was really fun considering the levels were more challenging. And especially the final one.
I thought it was interesting that each world, you know, sort of like Mario World, had an entrance to the special world.
That was pretty cool.
And I thought the final levels were excellent. I really did. I think all the levels in this game are really well designed. Like, really, really well designed. I don't think there was one level that I hated. Well, again, we'll get to there. But most of the levels, if anything, they were... I know you said the game was too easy, but I actually think it gives a fair challenge.
I wouldn't say it's too easy, but I would have liked it to be more challenging. It's kind of like when you have food and it's not as spicy as you'd like, but it still has a good amount of spice. Just a little bit more challenging, that's what I would have liked. But I still think that the challenge in the game is at a good amount, especially with that final level. But if there's one more thing I would have liked from the special world, I kind of wish it had a distinct theme. If they went for the new Super Mario Bros. Wii Rainbow and Stars theme and made that the theme for the levels, that would be so cool. But that's just an idea I had, and it was overall really cool that the special world you'd access from the main levels. But before wrapping things up, let's talk about the final level and the end reward for getting 100%. So the final level in the game, there are two of them. There's the Wonder Gauntlet, which I thought was cool. To be fair, the final boss level is also kind of a Wonder Gauntlet, so it's kind of weird having two of them. But I thought it was really fun, although it wasn't as challenging as I thought it would be. But that final badge challenge, that level will kick your butt. It kicked yours, but I thought it was a really fun challenge. Outside the invisibility badge, I thought, yeah, this is the only questionable level design. You can't really see your character, and I didn't really find that all that fun. But the other challenges part of it, they were intense, but they were so much fun.
I found the invisibility one to be easy, which is funny because you found it hard, but I found the spring one to be the most difficult. I lost so many lives playing that level.
It was the invisibility one that got me. It's interesting how that happens, though.
Yeah, I lost so many lives on that level. I don't think I've been stuck on a Mario level like that since 3D World's Champions Road. When I played that the first time.
I will say Champions Road was more difficult.
I don't know, man. I mean, nowadays I could probably do Champions Road easy peasy, but I don't know. I'd have to play them back to back. But yeah, it was quite a challenge, and by the time I actually finished it, I felt really accomplished.
I did too.
The reward for it, though, is the most bizarre thing in the world.
Yeah, once you 100% it, you've got all the Wonder Seeds, you got all the purple coins, you found all the secret exits, and you beat the badge challenges and got all the badges. What do you get? No, you don't get Rosalina as a playable character. You get the developers goofing around in the studio making sound effects, and that's what your reward is. When I told you about it, you were thinking, okay, how stupid can it be? I didn't tell you what it was, but I'll never forget your reaction to it. What is this?
It was... Oh my god. I don't hate it. I just thought it was so funny and unexpected that it fit the theme of the game.
I would say so too. I would say that, you know, ideally you'd want something like Wario as a 100% reward, but the fact that this is the reward, what a perfect game for it. And because of how funny and unexpected and how weird it truly is, I liked it. I don't know if I'm going to use it that much because there's only so much you can hear of quack, 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 twing, 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 but you could tell the developers were having a lot of fun developing this game. It kind of reminded me of the beginning of Katamari Damacy.
it it's an interesting reward. Um, would I have liked an extra playable character? Maybe, but I guess this is okay.
I can't
I
complain
guess
about it. I just think it. I
the
think
only
it's great.
the only thing I will say that I'm not really crazy about is that you have to buy every single standee to like properly 100% the game, and eh,
Yeah,
not crazy about that
I wasn't
because
crazy
it's
about the
like
standees either.
I don't really play the multiplayer mode. I don't play Mario for multiplayer. Shocker, I know. But the fact that I have to buy stuff that'll only be using in like a multiplayer mode doesn't really feel right to me. But I'm almost halfway done
Here's my
collecting
problem with
all
the
of them. It's my
standees, though.
last medal.
You
Yeah.
can't view them like you can view the trophies or figurines in Super Smash Bros. Or Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. If you could do that and see the incredible 2D Mario art, they'd be worth it and have another purpose in single player mode. But considering it's just for
Mhm.
multiplayer, I did get all the standees and I completely 100% of the game. So the true reward you get when you get all the standees, you get a black title screen. Where usually the Super
Wow.
Mario Bros. Wonder title screen has a white border, but it goes in a dark mode, and I think it's a nice touch. Title screen rewards are usually underwhelming, but considering you're getting that weird badge as pretty much the main reward, the dark mode title screen's pretty much just a way of saying, yeah, I'm a Super Wonder. Look at my title screen. I do wish that you could have multiple save files per user. You could in pretty much every other Mario game, including Super Mario Odyssey, so I'm hoping they address that in an update, and I know you're saying I hate saying that in this day and age, and I do too, but the fact of the matter is Super Mario Bros. Wonder is not an unfinished game. It has some flaws that could be fixed with an update. They aren't major, and having a lack of a save file select per user when you can just add another user, there's a pretty easy solution there. Really, it just comes down to Nabbit and Yoshi being able to power up and play normally. I'd like to see that, but we've already established Super Mario Bros. Wonder is an absolute masterpiece. But do you think there's a possibility that this masterpiece could continue on and get some DLC? Or even a sequel?
Sequel is too soon, obviously because it just came out. DLC, that's tough because we did get DLC for New Super Mario Bros. U with New Super Luigi U,
Which
and I
is the
think we
best
got
part
some
of
more,
the game.
and we got new challenge courses too, if I'm not mistaken.
That was New Super Mario
And
Bros. too.
oh, correct. Okay, so it's not outside of the realm of possibility. The only question is, what would it be? Would it be those scrapped wonder effects that they were talking about in the developer interviews? Would it be a new world? Would it be a new campaign?
What I'd
I
like to
mean,
see, this is my idea. In terms of a new campaign, I'd like to see Super Mario Bros. Wonder, the underdog story, where none of the characters in the main game are playable, but it focuses on Wario, Waluigi, Rosalina, and Pauline, and
oh,
Birdo,
that would be great.
and the
They'd
story
never
is
do
on
that,
them.
though.
They wouldn't do that, but it's just a really cool idea I had. But I think if they're gonna
Oh,
do
yeah.
something, it'll probably be another campaign. I don't think they'll go the new Super Luigi U route, where they replace the
What?
main character Mario with Luigi, because we have a lot of characters already playable. But I think there will be, if there's DLC, another sort of campaign, because there's not any additional modes. So I think that's the route that they would go.
Who do you think they choose as a character? Because I'm thinking maybe it's Prince Florian or something. I don't know.
Maybe they could do something like Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe, the Magalore epilogue, the Prince
That's what
Florian
I'm
epilogue.
thinking.
That'd be cool. I don't know if
That's what
this
I'm
game would get
thinking.
DLC
Yeah.
though. I don't think it. I'm not sure. Nintendo's weird when it comes to DLC. If it's gonna get DLC, we're gonna find out in the next Nintendo Direct. If it's not in the next Nintendo Direct, it probably isn't happening. I'd like to see it though.
Yeah,
Same for Pikmin 4.
I'd like to see it too. Yeah, I'd like to see it too. And I think DLC is a little bit more prevalent nowadays in today's culture, which, for better or for worse, depending on the game. But in this case, DLC would be welcome. And, it really depends on what it is. It could just be new courses, some new wonder effects, or it could just be a completely new campaign. Maybe they add more power-ups. Who knows? Either way, I think I'd be down with DLC.
Yeah, if a game is already a masterpiece and it gets DLC, that's just a bonus, and that's how it should be. Nintendo was doing great with DLC before the sports games, but it seems they're pretty much done with that path. People spoke about it, they're not going to do it again, hopefully. Because this year has been absolutely incredible. Although before we wrap things up, I did want to bring up one last thing. We beat the game within a week, 100%. Do you think it was the right length? Do you think it was a little bit short? You wish it was longer?
I thought it was a good length. I do wish we had maybe one more world. Because I think overall we have, like, what? Almost close to 8 worlds?
Yeah, 8 worlds in total.
Bowser's... Yeah, including Bowser's quote-unquote world. I would have liked to see one more world. I guess because I'm just so used to, like, 9 worlds, you know, counting an extra world in regular Mario games, but I thought it was paced really well. I was worried.
Or go on.
Yeah, I was worried in the beginning because I felt like I went through World 1 a little too fast, but I had fun really exploring World 4 and exploring the Petal Isles and playing some of the special world levels. I thought it was decently paced. Again, maybe one more world would have been nice, but I really can't complain.
The thing is, I initially thought, okay, maybe this is a bit too short, but then I thought about what I was playing before. I was playing Mario and Rabbids Sparks of Hope, which is a strategy game, sort of an RPG, and I was playing Pikmin 4, and that's a game that can easily go for 50 hours. I'm very close to 100%ing it. I only have, like, some of the side missions to do where you talk to one of the captains, but I've been playing a lot of games that are just longer in general, so maybe that's why my perception was a bit skewed, but in terms of a 2D Mario game, I think it's a good length. Would have been nice if it were a little longer, but it just goes to show how good the game is. We wanted to keep on playing it again and again. And even with everything in the game, and even though I've 100%ed it, I'm going to be going back to it pretty much immediately. I'm already planning on starting a new save where I go for a no badge mission, where I play the levels without any badges, so I'm going to see how that is. But I can tell it's going to be a very replayable game. There's just something about 2D platformers that makes them endlessly replayable. Mario games, Donkey Kong Country, and it's pretty funny because I always joke about 2D platformers and 2D games. Always say, 3D games reign superior! Just to get on your nerves. But I will say,
yeah, I know.
I think we're in mutual agreement when it comes to Super Mario Bros. Wonder.
Yeah, and you know, I hope this this creates a renaissance of like creative new 2D games. I wouldn't mind the new Donkey Kong Country, even if it is 2D. As long as the ideas are there.
You know what?
Yeah.
I will say I prefer a 3D game, but until we see it, and if it's like Wonder, I'd still be excited. I can't say anymore that I'm not going to be excited because a game's 2D, but in terms of Wonder, there's another question I had. Is it your favorite Mario game? Because I know Super Mario Bros. 3 is your favorite. My favorite's Super Mario Odyssey. And it still is Super Mario Odyssey, but Wonder is easily in the top 5.
I think I'm with you. I think it's in the top 5 right now. I think it's still too early to say if it's my favorite. I need to replay it and really let it settle in. But I think it's safe to say it's in the top. I'll even say this. I think it's in the top 2.
Yeah, I think it will be your favorite, though. If you had to guess now, just judging on what you played, I knew Super Mario Odyssey was my favorite since day one.
I think it's going to be my favorite. I think replaying it will make me appreciate it even more.
Yeah. And before the final ending, one more point I wanted to bring up. I love that there's no nostalgia pandering in this game. The references make sense, and they're used sparingly. Like in the Bowser levels, there's a reference to Metal Mario when you're in the electric section. That was really cool.
I like that a lot.
That was a huge surprise.
That was really cool.
Yeah, that was a really cool Wonder effect.
We didn't really talk about badges. How did you feel about them? Because I gotta be honest with you, I only used about 3 like in certain levels. I used the crouching high jump, the wall jump, and I think what was the other one that I used? Can't remember what the other one what the other one was, but if it'll come back to me. But what did you think about them?
I found some badges to be incredibly useful, like the parachute cap, the spin jump boost, the high jump,
Oh, that's
and the
what it
crouching
was.
jump.
Yeah,
But the action
yeah,
or the boost badges I never really used. Expert badges were just a novelty, but I found them to be a great addition.
yeah. They were. I do wish we had a few more action badges that spiced the gameplay up a little bit more. I did use the crouching. I used the crouching high jump as the most, as the one that I use the most. But you know, the badges that are there are really cool. The action badges. I just wish that we got some more.
I would agree with you there, but I feel like the amount was still satisfactory. But it's important you brought that
Oh,
up
I
because
agree.
I didn't even think about the badges. I guess because I went over them in my review. But I will say, what do you think of the lack of nostalgia pandering? Because I believe this is the first recent Mario game to not have a single 8-bit Mario. That was refreshing.
Thank God. Yeah, thank God, because I was half expecting that they were gonna do, maybe something like what they did with Mario 3D World, like a Mario Kart stage, or like 8-bit Mario, or something like that. And like, it's cool, but it's been done so many times that it's just like
It really feels like
I
a
could get.
proper reboot of Mario. And it's
Yeah,
just great. But anyways, guys, I think this about wraps it up. This is the final end. And now we are going to turn invisible. Anyways, thanks for watching. I am not T&D.
and I'm not Demeech.
And keep calm and da-da. Invisibility badge, activate!
Poop,
Oh no, why did I fall down? The clouds didn't help me. Poop.
poop.